everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on Spy Family episode 5. Oh my gosh, what is this show? So the last episode was really great. It was great. Not so great for the Forger family, as Anya had her interview. It did not go as planned, and it looks like at this moment that the mission is a total bust, and that they're not getting into the academy. Although, what the Forger family does not know is that at the end, after they left, after Loid made his case that this was not the correct education his daughter needed because they were so cruel to her, specifically the one swan man, old Henry had some comeuppance for him, and I'm thinking Henry might pull some strings to get them into the academy, or make them like come back for a rescheduled interview with just him. And I don't foresee it just being him and the other guy, the one guy that was nice. I don't see him being there at all. I think that if Henry, the headmaster, the housemaster, has them come back, it'll just be with him because he has like the say or whatever. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it was really cute the last episode. I'm so glad that Loid and yours stuck up for Anya. I just recently got back from a trip. My brother and I went to Gen Con, which was a convention, and there was a vendor, and they were dressed up as Anya and Loid, and they said there was a Yor running around somewhere, but it was just the two of them, and it was such a good cosplay. I was like, oh my gosh. But I saw many Anyas at the convention. I did not see a lot of Yors or Loids, but I saw many Anyas, which that cosplay would not be hard to do. But the guy that was doing Loid, he even had like the contacts and everything. It was very well done. But yeah, so I'm really excited to see what's going to happen this episode, to see if they actually get into the academy. I'm assuming they will, because that's the whole plot of the season. But the question is how? How are they going to get in? So how are they going to get in now that they seemingly have abandoned the mission or have seemingly failed it? We'll find out, won't we? So I'm pretty excited. I hope you all are too, but let's not waste any more time. We are going to dive into episode 5 of Spy Family, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That was pure sugar. That was pure sugar. I really didn't think we were going to go this route. I didn't think it was going to be that easy. I really thought going into this that the Henderson guy would have like some like trial for them to do, or some kind of test, or like some kind of final thing, but really he was totally fine with it, which we'll talk about that a little bit. So the chief, but they're like, oh, ha ha. So I love the humor of this episode, that it's going through the superstitions and like all the bad flags, and they're like, it'll be fine, we're gonna pass, it's great. And meanwhile, we get like the little build up with the chief, and the chief is like, I like that this woman who is the who's like the second in command, or she's like the chief's manager, is like, the entire piece between the East and West hangs on this operation, so it seems like it would be really important. And he's like, oh, don't worry, we've got Twilight on the job. He's the best we've got. He's famous within the league, right? Because all the spies that are there, they're like, oh, I want to get his autograph. Like, he's well known. He's like the famous spy. And it's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? God, that's so great. But yeah, so I wanted to see what was said on here, what they had on here. They have his name, his number. His name is blacked out. We don't get to see it. We say agent name Twilight. Known aliases is, we said Loid Robert. Age, we don't get to know that. Male. Blood type, we don't get to know that. Height is 187 centimeters. Weight is 79 kilograms. Hair is blonde. Eyes are blue. It says like pantsuit black. Oh, that was his underwear, right? And his birthday, birthplace, father, mother, we don't know. And his address. So we don't know any of that other stuff. But I'm just like, of all random things that you have listed on there, underwear, pantsuit black is listed. Again, this is a comedy. This is first and foremost a comedy. This entire episode that is just straight up filler. Although I say it's straight up filler, it's also developing Loid and Anya's relationship a little bit more, which we'll talk about at the end of this. But I'm just like, it's a comedy. So I'm sure that people that want to take this show seriously and are like, but the agents and the bill, I'm like, it's for fun. It's comedy. It's just slapstick. It's not, we're not meant to take this super seriously plot wise. Now, emotion wise, somebody on Patreon was commenting a few episodes back, and they're like, well, what if things get serious? Like, what if they do accomplish the mission? then Loid has to pick whether or not he continues to be with Anya and Yor, or he moves on to the next mission. And it's like, at that point, that's where the emotional toll is going to come in on. Because, yeah, this series is very much character-driven with Loid and Anya and Yor. The plot stuff is all kind of superfluous. It's built around the spy aspect of it. But it's really about these relationships with these characters. And Loid, who has constantly been alone and not had to be committed, is now faced with the option to have something that he's always wanted, but it's at the stake of what he's pledged his life and purpose to. So what do we do with that? So I'm sure at some point there is going to be it's going to get angsty at some point with Loid having to figure out what to do. But plot-wise, it's all fluff, and I'm absolutely here for it. But yeah, I just love that they're like, oh yeah, sure, they passed. I'm sure. And he just drops the hat. It's great. But then it's not there. So yeah, so going back to this episode here, I know that they're like, oh, we failed. Like, what do we do? And then poor Anya, she can hear both of them. And she's like, it's because I stepped in poop, wasn't it? Which is a very little kid thing to think, right? That little kid's like, oh, it's because of that. And they're like, no. And then but then the Henry Henderson guy, he draws them aside and has the waiting list, which is hilarious because I work at a school and teach, and some of the classes I teach have waiting lists. And waiting lists are always the worst because you have to wait till the last minute to see if somebody gets on it. So there is that like horrible, awkward waiting period. But she was at the top. I'm sure that Henry managed to get her at the top. I want to see if there's any names that stood out. Oh, Gustav Miller, Weinhard Tennert, Lucas Adrian, Tiana Meyer. I wonder if those names have any significance. But yeah, Anya Forger was at the top. Okay. And they're the applicants that get in. And so, yeah. So he says that basically once her scores were tallied, she was the next one in. So, yeah. So as long as somebody drops out, it's fine. And he says it happens a lot. So, there was a good chance that she was going to get in, right? And so I wondered if Yor would immediately go to let me kill somebody off the wait list to get her on. And she does for a second. She actually thinks it. She thinks of killing Camilla's kid. She actually thinks of that. The mosquito thing was great. Like just it's because you the number one killer, mosquitoes. You saved Swan. It was great that you did that. Brought your score up tremendously. I'm like, that's such bullshit. He's like, that's insane. He's like, stand proud, Forger. So I like that Yor actually considers like killing Daniel to like get, or Secretary Zachary 5. So it's not Camilla's husband. Good. But yeah, she considers killing somebody, and and then she says, I can't kill an innocent. I can't kill an innocent. And I was going to say, someone brought this up in the last few episodes, and I can't remember who it was at the time. I actually have notes that I didn't get to for this episode because I wanted to dive right into it. But I do have some notes, actually, so I might as well go over them now with you all. Four Sunsets commented and said that kimono means little objects from episode 3. And actually, Four Sunsets is the one that questions about will the comedy last or not. That was them. MK Hart and KM Bill noted how Yor's innocence and has a role as the strong person in this series. Like she has the physical strength, whereas Loid is more like the brains and intelligent, even though he is very physically strong too. It's a nice little reversal because usually the guy is like the physically strong one and the woman is the cunning, intelligent one. And here it's kind of flipped. So that was really cool. Sarah Linda commented saying that Loid has the vision of a perfect family, but doesn't know what makes it tick. He doesn't know the elements and what they are comprised of. He just knows what it looks like. But actually seeing what it is made of is something Loid is unfamiliar with, which I agree with. And then Christopher Peterson noted about Anya being from Ostania. After the mission, could she even go back with Loid? Because Loid's from West Dallas, and yours seems to be from Ostania. So would there be, I could see down the road the big angsty conflict is that Loid leaves Anya and Yor to go back to West Dallas. And then he's going to end up running back through the airport, terminal to get her in the end, that sort of thing. But yeah. Also, Christopher Peterson pointed this out about Yor because she comments when she's thinking about killing the Zachary, the secretary guy, so that his kid won't go to the school. She's like, oh, I couldn't kill an innocent person. And Christopher Peterson noted that she's empathetic. She's very much an empath. She wants to help people. Like back in episode 3, she, when they're chasing down, Loid chases down the burglar, but she helps the old lady. She's more concerned about the lady's well-being, whereas Loid was like, let me go catch the crook. So Christopher notes that's interesting considering her line of work is assassinating people that she's told to, but that she may consider the people she's assassinating to be ones that are needed to be targeted because they're threats to the population as a whole. But maybe that's not it. She's from Ostania, so maybe that's not the case. Like, is she actually working for an organization that is helping people? Or is it going to be something that comes up later that's like, no, you've actually been hurting people, and what is that going to do with her? And the same thing with the people of Wise too. Like, these two organizations that are essentially using Yor and Loid, it's like, do they all have the best intentions in mind? We'll see as we go. I don't know. But that's really, really cool to think about. So I forgot to bring those up before we started this, so I might as well bring it up now. But yeah, so in any case, I like that we have this conversation. There was 2 conversations going on at once. He says there are a few that withdraw every year, so you'll probably get in, and make sure you're probably prepared for that for the eventuality. And he's like, oh, thank you, Master Henderson. And then he says that I must warn you that I may not be teaching here by the time you arrive. So that's going to be the big question. Is Henderson going to be teaching at the same time? And so he's like, I was forced to give that swine a good thrashing. I was able to protect Eden's honor, but who knows what ramifications await me. So he's like, am I going to get suspended? I don't know. And while he's saying that, Loid is like, that foolish man and this instructor. He says, I'm not sure which one will be more useful to me in my mission. So is the Swan guy or is Henderson going to be more useful? I would say Henderson, because you have Henderson's respect. Swan, you don't at all. Right? And so, but if that fool stands in my way, I have plenty of ways to destroy him. Yeah, so Swan shouldn't be a threat, basically, is what he's saying. And so, yeah. And then 3 days later, I love her little dance, her little prayer dance to try to get to where she's accepted. It's freaking cute. Loid with his hair down, old must, is very cute too. And then, yeah. And then he's like, we did it. Anya got in. She managed to get in. I love that visual of him with the party popper. And he's just like, boom. It's so cute. It's great. I want to get a picture of them next to the party popper. It's like the cutest thing. And then Franky's like immediately shows up with the wine and the food. And he's like, all right, let's party. Franky is the uncle. He is Anya's uncle. And he wants to have fun. My aunt used to babysit me, and she'd give me a bunch of chocolate and like candy and stuff before I went to bed. And then I'd be jacked up and on a sugar high when my parents came home, and they'd be like, gee, thanks. That is literally, Franky is my aunt. They were like, wow, thank you for doing that. She's like, Franky's like, I gotcha. And then, yeah, he just meets Yor for the first time. Brings over the good stuff. Brings over all the food. She calls him Scruffy Scruff. I ordered delivery, and we got booze. I'm like, Franky is my kind of guy. He brings the party with him. I'm all grateful for it. And yeah, they got like bread, and they got like, is that hot dogs on top of cheese and meat? And they have all the cheese tray and the chocolates and the dips. It's great. And then I love that Franky and Yor cannot hold their liquor. They are lightweights. Whereas, although it looks like Yor has been drinking 2 bottles of wine, so girl. But Loid is not drinking because Loid's like, no, leave me be. He's too stressed. Loid is too stressed to drink. He's like, nope, I've got to be on my game. Loid still has that mentality of needing to be on his game because he's a spy. And he's like, I cannot, ever let anything get in the way of that. And so Anya asks if he'd reward her. And so she puts on the bondman. And I love this girl looks like Princess Peach. It's clearly a parody. And then the guy has the V for Vendetta mask. That's like, your mission is to save the kidnapped Princess Honey. And then the guy looks like Loid. Yep. And he goes and infiltrates the castle to rescue her. Bondman. Take down any enemy stands in the way. And he's got like the same thing. He uses the belt. He has the trench coat with the suit. It's great. And she gets rescued. Peace was restored and their love continued to grow. And she's like, this is what I want to do. He's like, no. I love that he instantly tells her no. Because he doesn't know. He's like, he doesn't want to play with her. And then Franky's like, you're going to let this poor girl suffer? She worked so hard. He's like, come on, everything she went through the past. It's like, doesn't seem fair that you don't get a kind of reward, does it, kiddo? Like, Franky is just goading him. Franky's like giving him the biggest guilt trip. Like, come on, you're her parent. Do something. He's like, let's strike while the iron is hot. And I love that Franky's like, they got the castle. We can reserve it. I've got it all planned. Like, Franky, our intel, I freaking love him as a character. He's great. And he gets so into it. It's adorable. But the thing is, I can see at this point where some people would be like, okay, now wait a minute. They're like, so all these spies agreed to go there and pretend. Because, well, here's the thing, too. They all know the mission. They know that the mission is for Loid to keep up the appearance of being a man that has a daughter and a wife, and it's for them to infiltrate the school and do all these things. So on the one hand, yeah, they're like, okay, if he's got to do this to keep up appearances, then we need to treat it seriously. And the chief has framed him as the best spy in all of Westalis. So she's like, fine, get him whatever he needs. If he needs a plane, get him a plane, get him some men. But then once they get to the castle, he's like, okay, I need you to bring some guys over to act and help like do this play and facade. And I like that she questions it. She's like, really? And they're like, it's for the mission. We got to do it. But I love that all these guys are fanboying over Loid. And so they all do it because they all believe in the mission too. And Franky's so detailed. Franky's got like a map of the castle. He has like, okay, if you look back, I want to look at the little images here. Poor Yor. Yor is like drunk. I'm like, girl, you're going to have such a hangover. Wine hangovers are the worst. That's why I can only have like a glass and then I'm done. But okay, we have all the drawings here on the ground. They have the castle and they have the little, Anya's drawn the little helicopter. It says help above it. Freaking cute. She's got images of Bondman hitting the guys in the ninja outfits with different dodgeballs. And she has him like running away. She has him like shooting past them. She basically has the entire episode mapped out on her drawings, which is so freaking cute. I just love how I love how Franky is so into it. He is the best uncle. He's like, he is the best with kids. I love that he's such a great foil to Loid because Loid doesn't know how to handle little kids. And Franky's like, this is what you gotta do. And it's the cutest thing in the world. I freaking love it. But yeah, and Anya in her little gear, like going up there. I could see also why somebody would be like, man, Yor was drunk this whole episode. But she needed to be because the writer, the mangaka, had to make Yor drunk because she's an assassin. And so if she wasn't drunk, she probably would ask weird questions or be like, what are we doing? What is going on with this? But she's buzzed the whole time. So she's like, I'm just going along with it. Great. Like at one point she like looks at it, she's like, look like a treasure chest. It's like, oh my God. Her and Franky are like, I love that Loid is the sober one on this journey. Oh my God. Loid is the sober parent. And Franky and Yor are like the two buzz parents. They're like, let's have a party. And Loid's like, I've got to hold this together. My friends and I were in Boston years ago, and it was St. Patrick's Day, and we went to like an outside tent where they were having like a festival, and there was all this ale and stuff, and there was like Irish drinks everywhere, and then randomly in the middle of it, there was a child's birthday party, and at the time we were like, this is like a tavern and a beer garden. Why is there a birthday party? But then we realized the parents were like, we're going to get drunk and our kids are going to color and play games and it's going to be a win-win for everybody. And there was that one parent that was sober there that was like, I'm holding it all together. And that's Loid in this episode. I was like, oh my God, it is. I can always remember that one parent's face, the one parent that like had a Coke and was like, I have to be responsible for all of this. And that is Loid. And so it's great. It's so cute. But yeah, Anya, girl playing him like a fiddle, being like, I don't think I can go to school if there's not all these people here. And I love that how serious everybody takes it. They take the mission so seriously. And I love the spy elements, like them all parachuting in. And they're like, it's extremely important regarding the operation. It's like, is it? Or is it just this girl wanted to play Bondman? Oh my God. And Loid's like so tired. He's like, I'm done. I love that the little spy elements, the Morse code where he taps the microphone and taps his feet. And that's how he's communicating to them while he's talking on the mic. So good. So genius. It's adorable. And then, yeah, he's like, this assignment is an imperative part of Operation Strix and you need not inquire further about it. And they're like, we have no idea what's going on. But if Loid's the one telling us, if it's Twilight, I'm sure this is all according to plan. Yep. He's like, this man will explain the details. Just follow his orders. He's like, just do what I say. It's fine. Oh my God. And they all get on board with it. And they're like, our day has finally come to test Twilight and kick his ass. It's like all these guys wanted to just gang up on Twilight because they've always wanted to test him. And the one guy I love, there's one guy in this whole episode that he keeps on getting psyched up. He's like, when he pats his hand, he's like, come on, let's do it. I'm like, what? The random animation of this was such a delight. Like the little back and forth, the quiz where he knows her favorite food, but he does not know. He's like, what is Anya? He doesn't know what she likes about Bondman. It's the silencer, the pistol with the silencer, and he doesn't know what she wants right now. But to be fair, he was going to get that last question wrong, because who could have known that? Who could have known, right? I love the overture of Franky and his face over that. That's so good. But yeah, it's such a little kid answer. She's like, I just want water. And so he's like, oh, I've got to put it on. I love that Loid is embarrassed. I love that he's embarrassed that he has to put on the Bondman gear, and then he has to act in front of his fellow spies, which is hilarious because he's known for acting. Like, one of the guys even says, oh, we get to see the famous Twilight in his acting chops, and Loid's like, I've got to act in front of these people. Like, he's having like secondhand embarrassment, but it's like, no, it's part of the mission. It's cool. This ball pit scene, yeah, the one guy is like, he's so cool, and he does like the thing with his face. Yeah, it just, what? The animation of this ball pit scene did not have to go this hard. It didn't. What? It did not have to be this good. Like, the animation, the movement, it was so smooth. Like, everything, like when he's like jumping up and fighting back, it did not have to be that clean. Like, for being an episode that is really plot-wise mostly filler, it did not have to go this hard. Like, I've watched, I'm not usually a filler episode person at all, but honestly, this was so endearing and hilarious, and they animated it so well that I was like, I'm on board with this. I cannot imagine it in the manga at all. But yeah, and the guy's like, he's so amazing. I'm like, what? So cool, Loid, man. And then, God, and even when Yor's fighting him, but yeah, like they're fighting with the balls and everything. And then I love that he's just like, he's like, oh God. And then does exactly like the whole map of everything. And I love that he's like, and Loid. Now, Franky has no problem acting. Franky has no problem. He is over the top, like total cartoonish. He's like the big bad guy. Like Franky can play the part. And he knows it's for a kid. And so he's like, we gotta make it convincing. And he doesn't care what the other spies say. But then I love that they have all the other spies come, and then they all come to watch him, and he's like, oh, they're looking at me. And it just shows like Twilight is worried about what his fellow agents will think of him. Because he's supposed to have this reputation, right? It's like, you're telling me that I have to act out this embarrassing little play in front of all these agents. But in the end, it's for the mission. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure it is. You keep telling yourself that. And he's like, oh, hand over the princess. And Franky's like, no! And then they have, like, he's like, I can't believe we get to see Twilight's acting skills in person. And Franky's like, I feel like Franky is taking this opportunity to just shove it in Loid's face and be like, I get to actually, like, get your goat for once. It's so good. But then Yor, the most powerful witch in the world, Morticia Addams! Yeah, right? I said a few episodes ago she was like Morticia Addams. Like Morticia. And she's just drunk. Finish off that fool, Scruff. And he's like, now there's a witch. But he's like, she is fierce and like seriously could hurt him. And I will say, those of you that are like, why doesn't Loid notice something's up? Because she like makes him bleed. Fair enough that she's like, anyone who tries to kidnap Miss Anya is going to suffer from me. It will not get out alive. She's got like the veins in her neck. And he's like, what the fudge? She is fierce. Like, I think she could take Loid in a fight. Like, just a regular fist fight. He's like, he's like, why is she using physical attacks when she's a witch? And the animation of this is gorgeous. Like, did not have to be this way. But yeah, she is fierce and like breaking up his gloves. She's strong. She's going to kill me. And I love that she goes to kick him and the heel breaks on her boot. Like you do. Girl did not wear the appropriate foot attire. You can run away from a T-Rex in heels, but fighting a guy, nah. And that causes her to fall. And he's like, are you okay, Yor? And she's out. Our girl, totally out. God. And he's like, okay. So that all worked out. And then I love that he like goes to rescue her and holds out his hand. She's like, and she says, Papa. Like his mask nearly falls down because it's been, and I love that everybody's just like, it's so good. I love all the agents. Agents are like, one agent was recording it like on a camera, but he has the fireworks display. God, it's so good. They're like tearing up. God, that's so funny. I freaking love that. I love that so much. Oh my God. It's amazing. And then, yeah, he's so embarrassed. His ear's red. But then the fireworks and stuff, like what little kid wouldn't love this? And all the agents are like, congratulations, Anya. Good job. And like Franky and Yor are like hungover, passed out. Mm-hmm. He's like, congrats, Anya. That's so freaking cute. He's like, what is this? I like that Loid's like, what was all this? And then they all just leave. Like all the ships and the planes leave. It's hilarious. This is a comedy, and this episode succeeded in that in spades. Yeah. It's like, it's thanks to you, Papa. And then I love when she's like, I'm gonna do my best in school. And then he's like, I'm sure you will. He's like, that's good. He's like, congratulations. And that when he gives her like the little head pat and the shooting star comes out, okay. And then the whole thing where he like brings her in to hug her. That's the good stuff. That's the thing. That is very much like the parental thing where he brings her in to hug her. And then the bill was $8,000 for whatever Kagu is. Oh my God. And I love that this secretary, this second in charge, that's probably my second favorite thing of the episode, is that when she gets the bill, she goes, like, just to give me strength, like no, it's fine. It's fine. Because I love her already. I know nothing about her, but I love her. She's great. She's a great side character. I love that she hands over the bill. This is the expense report. And then he's like, are these numbers real? And she's like, yes, they are, sir. It's like, ah! They are correct. And then mission report number 6, Operation Strix, Phase 1 school admissions achieved. So freaking good. So freaking good. Oh my gosh. This episode was just wonderful. I officially loved it. So yeah. Yep. This episode was great. Again, it was very much filler. There wasn't a lot of bearing on the plot overall, but it was a fun episode. It was hilarious. The animation was really good, and it brings Loid and Anya a little bit closer. So I'm going to call that a win. But yeah, man, I'm excited to know your thoughts about this episode. It was freaking adorable. I love Franky, and Yor cannot hold her liquor, so there's that. But in any case, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, next episode 6, then we're going to get started back to Eden Academy. I'm excited. So I'll see y'all next week with more Spy Family. Bye.